nothing worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
2012, something happened, Howard. You.
To quote my old friend Richard Belzer, physical science has not yet invented a unit of measurement that would express how little I give a fuck.
But it affected everybody's job. I saw that video where he asked everybody.
Not my job, not your job.
No, but no, everybody that works in the show currently's job.
Right. But on that video, for example,
well, explain to everybody what the video was. There was a leaked video that the press did not pick
I told
up.
you I'm not coming in here to talk about that guy.
Okay. Well, he's a journalist.
I don't have. Do you have any answers for this? I don't know.
I don't know. But what he's talking about is the video that went around that nobody picked up on. But it was a really odd thing where he was talking about how everybody had to get fake Twitter accounts and all this shit. And it's a very odd thing because Howard was always so organic about everything that he did. And for him to actually stage all this stuff, did any of you guys see the video? Do you know what we're talking about?
I did not, so I'm
Yeah, no,
curious.
There was a leaked video of Howard having a seminar. It wasn't even like in the studio. There was a seminar where he was like dictating people that everybody that worked there, including the people that worked on the TV show, that they all had to have at least 6 fake Twitter accounts.
How is this a leaked video if it's a seminar?
No, because it was just for the employees.
Employees only. But what makes it interesting is this woman, Marcy Turk, who got involved, is the reason this video exists in the first place. It's the reason he took the point of view. What do you know about this woman? Because this
I know nothing. I just know that she came into the fold in the middle of while we for 8 years we had Jackie's joke hunt, and she came aboard. And not long after we were gone.
But so was everybody else.
Yeah, so who knows?
Wait, and didn't they let you go at the Christmas party or something?
Nah,
But they say she's behind this political correctness that he's
so what? Maybe not. Maybe she. Maybe that's convenient to blame her. I don't know. I don't give a fuck. I don't mean to be cold. I don't care.
Now, breaking news. The Getting Things Done tape has been released. I can't believe it. You know what's so great about this, Royce? It really is redemption for me. Because when I posted that picture in my book of Howard in front of the fucking screen saying to his staff to set up fake Twitter accounts to solicit guests, people thought it was photoshopped. People accused me of photoshopping that, and it was never photoshopped. It was a picture that I got from 2 people who were at the Getting Things Done seminar. But people accused me of that. Then we released the audio. Then I get a flurry of tweets saying, oh, well, that was because, Howard was obviously doing a bit here. Now we have the video. Now we know that my picture was completely truthful, was not photoshopped. And now we know the Getting Things Done seminar happened. And now we have the video. Royce, you want to start playing some of it? The Getting Things Done seminar with the Pelican. And there it is, Revolution 2013. Where are we going? What was that say, Royce? How are we getting there? Where are we going? How we are getting there?
And how many years until this video is leaked? I think it's the very small print at the bottom.
Yeah, and the McGraw-Hill Company is on the podium, and there's the Pelican sitting on the stage, and there's his staff in their seats. I don't recognize one of them. I mean, I think Jason Kaplan is sitting on 2 seats.
The guy down on the bottom right looks like Frank with the baseball hat on.
Yeah, but here we go. So go ahead and hit play.
All right, so we'll just jump around. You tell me what you want to do here.
Well, let's get to where Howard's on the stage because he stalls for a little bit as people are filing in. Okay, this is awesome tape. Holy shit! Here comes the Pelican.
So why are we here?
Okay,
the desired outcome. I want to enhance everything we do. Everything we touch, I think, needs polishing. And what my job here is today is to communicate exactly what I want and give you the structure that you need to do it. And you know what? I am guilty of this. People come to me and say, Howard, yeah, I kind of get what you want to do. I kind of understand it. That's why I started writing all this stuff on my wall. because maybe I'm not communicating that. And this should be very clear today. So that's the desired outcome of today's meeting. And what we're going to end up with is clarity. I think this is going to be very clear. We're going to come up with systems so people know where they belong in the organization. We're going to have structure. Every project we choose will have a definite structure behind it, and there'll be accountability, which I think is probably the most important thing I want to get across today. That when we come out of here and in the next couple of weeks, there'll be accountability. If somebody says they're going to do something, well, we're going to have metrics and we're going to measure it and make sure that they actually do it. So people don't feel alone, that people feel that everyone's doing their job. So here's my vision. Let's go into the area of guests first. This is it for 2013. This was the vision I had in my office. I want weekly an A-list celebrity on our show, and 2 times a week I want a B-list celebrity. We're on 3 days a week. 3 days a week. The show is, as Gary says, dark. 10, 12 weeks, I don't know. We actually do 112 shows a year. This is a very realistic goal, but how are we going to get there? This is how we do it. Let's remind ourselves who we are. And I don't say this lightly. Our show is the #1 place for a guest. And think about this. What is it our show has? 23 million paid subscribers. Who the fuck else has that? We have people who pay to hear a radio show. We had Jewel on today. We go deep into an interview. The woman had an hour. We plugged her new album several times, at least 10 times that I counted. We talked about her life. We had her play, we did a bit with her. We played a song that I wrote. The audience loved it. I know that. I'm judging it from Twitter, the email. She was endearing. She got her plugs. She reached paid subscribers, people who actually have money in their pocket. And we know that these interviews are very effective. Celebrities tweet, gee, best interview I ever had. Fans tweet, they send in emails. Gee, you know, I didn't like Jewel so much, but I heard her on your show, and she was fantastic.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri, how old is Howard Stern?
It's a great question.
67 years old.
67 years old.
You said 65. I thought he was a little bit older.
Well, he is.
I mean, when you look at Howard's hair, 67. Look at my hair. Look at our hair. Let's be honest.
Look at our
67 years old. I mean, have you ever seen the clip when he went on Piers Morgan on CNN, and then Piers asks him, "Is it real?" and then he lets him tug on it, but it's like the lamest.
Yes.
Like he lets it's like a limp wristed, like he barely puts any pressure on Howard's hair. Howard's like, "Easy now, easy now."
Yeah.
Well, as you can probably hear, great listeners, our topic today is, where is the king of media at? It is post-summit Howard Stern. Still relevant. We're going to give you some other stuff the week that was, viewer email. And so let me get a formal introduction. It is the Festival of Friendship, better known as Nothing Worthwhile, live via Zoom. It is America's #1 bi-coastal podcast featuring not one, but 2 annoying Jews. I'm annoying Jew #1 on the West Coast. I am your host and moderator, Evan Moody. On the East Coast, it is annoying Jew #2, live from the Sunshine State, brother. Andrew Gruthius. Groo, how the hell are you, my friend?
There's not much sun shining right now. Is this our first late night action?
I know.
Have we ever done this before?
Yeah, it feels like camp. Like we're gonna go on a panty raid, or I don't know.
We did it like after, like our post WrestleMania shows. That's when we would do it.
I think maybe it's almost like I think like like AM talk, like midnight. You ever like back in when we were kids and you couldn't sleep? Like I always had like WFAN on.
Oh yeah.
You get
late night.
like,
Steve Summers under the covers. SPORTS. Yeah.
They would just talk about everything. So
yeah.
Yes, element of danger. So.
Oh, without a doubt.
It is late night, Groo.
Yeah.
How are you? What's on your mind? What do you got for me today?
I'm doing fine. It's been a very busy week. Where school's winding down. Summer is upon us. I'll be departing for the old CWB in just a little over a week for summer number 40. If you actually no, it's 39. Because of last year. Last year was canceled. It would be 40, but yeah, I am. I'm on overdrive right now. Doing fine. Just settling everything up down here and ready to head up north. It'll be the first time, really. I don't know if I've spent a night outside. Aside from WrestleMania, I don't know if I've spent a night outside of my apartment in over a year. So I'm looking forward to the change, everything's good. How are you? How's everything in sunny Arizona?
Andy Gruthius. Well, I just want to ask, what's Andy Gruthius like on Overdrive? I heard that comment. Gruthius on Overdrive.
Oh, you don't want quite a sight. You want to buy tickets to that
like
one?
A lot of empty Coke cans. What are we talking about?
No, it's more like an IV drip of Pepsi.
Well, out here in Arizona, it's hot. I mean, it's well over 100 degrees. Marie is in Tijuana, Mexico, for the next couple of days.
Why wouldn't you go with her to that? I would love.
She's going for business, and so I am like it's like a bachelor party weekend with Braxton. I think he's sleeping next to the guest toilet, the coldest part of the house. He goes, there's just no light. It's the coolest part of the house. So
awesome.
Yes, she left this morning, and so as Andy, of course, I'm an educator as well. We had graduations. I've had graduations at a couple of high schools the last couple of days, and it's a fun part of the year in the sense. Unfortunately, I am jealous. Andy's going to be going up to camp, but it is a fun part of the year as the expectation for summer break is I don't get summer break, but I'll have some time off, and I'm going to go to California for a couple of days. Newport Beach. Yes, we're going to go. Yeah, she went to Orange County for a business, like a convention for lasers, med spa kind of stuff. And so she was there and stayed in Newport Beach, and she came back and said,
"It's amazing.
Oh, it's great.
You've never been to Newport
really
Beach?
Clean. No,
you're gonna love it. You're gonna want to move there.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm not too high on California.
It's so relaxing. It's ridiculously relaxing. You'll love it.
Yeah, we're going for 5 days, and
nice. The weather's perfect there. Even during the summer, the weather's perfect.
Yeah. I've been to San Diego. Loved San Diego. Been to L.A. Mm-hmm. Not a huge fan of L.A. Big city, but I'm not.
This Newport Beach is a whole different thing. You're gonna really enjoy it.
We're gonna be there for July 4th. So
nice.
Spending July 4th, and so yeah, everything. Everything's going good. So all right, you ready to move on?
Yes, we are. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Let me backtrack. All right, listen. I got to ask you. Let's be this is spontaneous conversation. Notes. Ask Andy about getting rid of Sirius XM. So, look, let me ask you real quick. We are going to be talking about the King of All Media. We'll save those comments for a little bit later down the show. But we have talked about SiriusXM. Andy and I have been customers for years. I went even all the way back. I got the lifetime subscription for $700, and then of course they don't honor it anymore. And
really? Is that true?
Yeah, because then it was you could only switch to 3 cars, and then I leased cars for the longest time, so I've gone through cars pretty quickly. So, I basically get the 1-year car and app service, which is probably upper 200s, 300s.
I do the monthly. I do the monthly thing for car and app.
I think it's a little bit cheaper if you pay up front for the year, maybe just a few dollars.
Yeah, well, I can never put together more than $30 in my at a time.
Well, that notwithstanding, I mean, I've had Sirius in my car for years. I know Andy has as well. Andy, we spoke on the phone. He said, "Yeah, I'm pausing my membership, or I did pause." So, what is life like, entertainment-wise, post Sirius XM?
Well, in my car I have at the Apple CarPlay thing, and it kind of always hooks up by Bluetooth anytime I enter the car, and it just randomly plays like from my Apple Music library, whatever I have there that I've downloaded or whatever's on Apple. So I'm back to listening to just random shuffling music again, and I'm enjoying it. And actually,
okay,
go ahead.
Here's a couple of questions. I'm drinking my black coffee, thinking as Andy's. So, so random stuff. All right, here's my first question. SiriusXM does have a pretty good sound quality. I'm assuming the sound quality is just as strong with Apple CarPlay.
That's stuff that I don't really pay much attention to. I don't notice.
Yes, Andy. What about your vinyl collection? Your Neil Young, I like the scratches. Here's my other question.
I don't notice much of a difference.
What if, like in the morning, you ever get the urge just to listen to talk radio or news or sports, or you've just been straight up music since the move?
No, I'll put on. My commute is 3 minutes, so there's not much till But
how you complain about anything?
Who complains? I never complain about anything.
Yeah, right. You never.
I'll put on. I'll actually switch back. It's actually interesting to me because I'll switch back. Number one, I teach a class that's very about current events. So I'll switch back between CNN and Fox News on. I used to. No, I used to.
So do you listen to like your local
now it's I wouldn't even know them if I saw them. Now it's just whatever comes up on the Apple. And but actually, some Howard Stern stuff popped up the other day. It was an old bit with Sam Kinison and Emo Phillips, and I got depressed.
How do you get that? How did you? But how do you get that on?
It's on because it's the way it works is it's a combination of what's saved on my iTunes library that I put on there myself, and Apple Music.
Saved Howard clips on my iTunes.
Yeah, I got plenty of. I got a whole bunch of stuff. I got like that whole history of Howard Stern thing that they did. You can put that all into iTunes, and it through the cloud it shows up in your iTunes library. So it's just a nice. I like it. The spontaneity of it is like you never know what's coming next, and you got the little button on the steering wheel. If a crappy song comes on, you just click to the next one.
Yeah, spontaneity. Groo's playlist. It's like Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Bob Seger.
In fact, all of those that you just mentioned popped up at some point today while I was in the car. But I do not miss Sirius, and I will have to think about whether I'm going to re-up when I get back from the summer. I basically shut it down for the summer because I never listen up there, and why pay? And I don't know if I really need to. I probably will because, and this is the only reason, because I am getting a new car when I come back because my lease is up. So I don't have a choice. My lease is up, so I have to get a new one, and the new one will probably, like all of them do, they'll come with like a 3 month for free.
Yeah.
So of course I'll get that, and then I'll probably I'll let it expire, and it'll just keep going, and I'll just pay without even knowing that I'm paying. So but it's not something I'm even going to think about because I don't miss it for reasons that we're going to get to.
Yeah, I don't know what's shocking me more. You're getting rid of SiriusXM, or you're making a sound financial decision.
It's not I just said it's not my decision. My lease is up. My lease is up. I have no choice.
No, but you're all right. Well, anyway, you suspended your SiriusXM because you're not using it, therefore saving money. I was lauding you for making
That. Oh, well, yeah. I did think about that.
Work with me.
No. I didn't know what you were referring to. I didn't know what. Yeah, it did go over my head. You're right. It did.
Well, Andrew, before we wrap up our last podcast, we took a journey with Billy Joel on the River of Dreams.
Yeah.
It is 5 things we are talking about this week. It's nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
Nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
Hey guys and girls, the week that was brought to you by Do You Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out their medical weight loss programs at www.newyoulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU livecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. We want to thank Marie, Logan, Dr. Cynthia. A big thank you to New You Life Center. All right, Andy, you can grapes my wrath. Groo, before John Steinbeck became a world-famous author and won the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature, he was just another struggling novelist experimenting with genres and piling up rejection slips. Steinbeck ripped up 2 of his early novels, but a third, Andrew, a full-length werewolf mystery called Murder at Full Moon, has been brought to light by a British professor at Stanford University who wants the Steinbeck estate to publish it. The 233-page manuscript, which Steinbeck wrote under the pen name Peter Pym, has been stuck in the archives of the Harry Ransom Center. Harry
Ransom.
Harry. It sounds like Alan Richard, like a goofy name. A happy 21st birthday to Harry Ransom at the University of Texas. Let's see. So Steinbeck failed to get this published in 1930. There would be huge public interest in a totally unknown werewolf novel, by one of the best-known, most American-read writers of the 20th century, said Professor Gavin Jones, a specialist of American literature at Stanford. Groo, the story is set in fictional California, in a California seaside town where a series of murders have occurred under a full moon. Local investigators fear a supernatural monster like a werewolf is hiding in the nearby marshes. But despite Professor Jones' enthusiasm for the book, Steinbeck's literary agents, Macintosh and Otis, say they will not seek to publish it. That's the new tag team champions on SmackDown, Macintosh and Otis. So basically, as the estate's agents, we do not want to further exploit the works beyond what had been the author and his estate's wishes. Professor Jones disagrees. Steinbeck did attempt to have the book published early in his career, and he did not destroy this manuscript as he did several others. Groo, of Mice of Men, East of Eden, where do you stand on this interesting author tidbit? I don't know. I thought it was a little bit different.
I'm laughing at the way at the way you ask it. It's funny. I'm still laughing at the way you did the new you. I love it when you do that voice. Well, obviously the manuscript itself will probably fetch a ton of money at an auction somewhere. But yeah, that's one of the great American writers, and anything. If they found a J.D. Salinger one or these, they'd all be definitely something that I would be interested in. I haven't read all of his stuff. I've read The Grapes of Wrath. I've read Of Mice and Men, the biggies. Of Mice and Men, a great how-to book about pest control, by the way.
Well, that's a good one. I will give you that. But here's my question to you, because honestly, I do respect. You're a cultured guy. You read. All joking aside. So I think the crux of this article or the argument is, you've discovered this perhaps great literary work, but the estate never published it, and they want to respect the author's wishes. So do you push for this perhaps a nice cultural tentpole book, or do you go back to respecting perhaps he never had it published, he was sitting on it, or do you push for having something published so it could be shared with the world?
If you're a literary agent or you're a book company, if you're Simon & Schuster and you think there's a market out there for it and you think it could generate a lot of revenue, you push, and if they say no, you walk away.
Okay.
So you give it a chance. So you definitely give it a shot. There's no reason. You can always ask. It's not disrespectful to ask, but it would be disrespectful to hound them. If they don't want to do it, you have to respect that. But definitely go for it.
So you
know.
So you will respect McIntosh and Otis's wishes.
Yes. Yeah, if that's well, it's based on Steinbeck himself, his wishes, right? No?
Well,
or did I miss something about that? Or no,
wrote it under a pen.
Go ahead.
I guess the professor's arguing that it was never published, so you really don't know if Steinbeck would have, but he held on to this manuscript, whereas I guess it's been known that he's destroyed others.
Oh, wait, Steinbeck, all right, wait, so he tried to get it published.
The professor says Steinbeck did attempt to have this book published early in his career, and he did not destroy the manuscript as he did several others.
Oh, so forget it. Then definitely you try and you push, because Steinbeck obviously wanted it published. I was thinking it was like a J.D. Salinger thing where his family wanted to respect what he wanted, but it's not. You're talking about the publisher or the people who wouldn't publish it still don't want to publish it. Fuck them. If Steinbeck wanted it published, you push and you push and you push. Definitely.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Billy Joel passes away 3 or 4 years later. Somehow somebody discovers a 6-song arc, or even just one song. Mm-hmm. It's in the archives. Where would you stand on that? Release it? Or, I'm just curious. I don't know.
I feel like Billy Joel would be the kind of guy who would say, you know what? When I'm gone, do whatever the hell you want. Like that's the way I feel about him. I can't say that for sure, so I would leave it up to his I guess his whoever he is willed
eighth
to,
wife,
or his Alexa. I would his daughter.
Yeah.
I would respect her wishes. It's her loss. And if she chooses, if she has the rights to it, you ask, you try, test the waters. I would support it as a fan because I'd want to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with you getting rid of Sirius XM, you're going to really miss the Alexa Ray Joel on Billy Joel Radio when she.
Yeah, because I needed to hear it a ninth time.
When my dad went to Vienna to meet his father, anyway. All right, Groo, let's move on to the next topic. You hit me like a pile driver.
Ooh, I like it already.
Driver. Well, Groo, I'm going to get into it. John Cena was on the receiving end of a pile driver this Tuesday from American Twitter users after his quote-unquote pathetic apology to China for referring to Taiwan as a country during a promotional spot for his new movie, F9. Taiwan is a country. Hong Kong should be free. If you are unwilling to say these things because it might hurt your bottom line, you are a pathetic coward, conservative pundit Ben Shapiro posted on his Twitter account. Cena, speaking in Mandarin, went on Chinese social media site Weibo Tuesday to apologize for calling Taiwan a country during a promotional interview for F9, the latest installment, Groo, of the Fast and Furious franchise. The Chinese, who consider Taiwan a rogue province that is part of their territory, erupted in outrage at this blunder. Quote, Cena quoted, "I made one mistake. I have to say something very, very, very important now. I love and respect China and the Chinese people. I'm very, very sorry about my mistake. I apologize. I'm very sorry. You must understand that I really love, really respect China and the Chinese people. My apologies," Cena said. But many of Chinese netizens were unsatisfied with the gesture because Cena stopped short of saying that Taiwan is part of China in a statement. "Still didn't say that Taiwan is China? Is it so difficult?" one user wrote under his post. The apology set off a firestorm in the United States that hit Cena like a flying suplex. Keith Olbermann, the former ESPN and MSNBC commentator who knows his way around controversy, called Cena's remarks shameful. Senator Tom Cotton, related to Eddie Cotton, our favorite boxing referee, responded to John Cena's apology with pathetic. Taiwan is a country and a democracy. You just apologized to a dictatorship, he said in a Twitter post. CNN anchor Jim Sciutto was also part of the Twitter tag team that piled on Cena. Why not call a decades-long healthy and functioning democracy a country? Because much of Hollywood operates in fear of Beijing, many of its blockbuster movies are dependent on the mainland Chinese market, Sciutto said on his social media platform. Others recalled Cena's career as a championship professional wrestler and expressed their disappointment in his kowtowing to a rival of the United States. I grew up watching this man never lose and always come through to save the day for me. Tonight, I see a coward who just lost to China. User ItBeggins2012 tweeted, Groo, I ask you, should we be singing, John Cena sucks? John Cena sucks. That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah, I know it is. I know
Don't get all high and mighty with your response. Okay. Well, Andy, you report, we decide. John Cena, Taiwan, China controversy. All seriousness, what are your thoughts?
Leave it to a WWE superstar to unite the right and the left. When you've got Ben Shapiro and Tom Cotton and Keith Olbermann and Jim Sciutto from CNN agreeing on something, that's something we haven't seen in a bunch of years. I think, in all seriousness, maybe he just needs a fucking geography lesson. Maybe it's that simple. And everybody is just turning this into something that it's probably not. And I think it's time to, it will never happen, but it's time to start looking at intent. And if you're asking me if I think John Cena intended to offend anyone with what he did, I'd say no way. So let it go. The Mandarin thing is a stupid thing to do. A stupid thing to do for him. Obviously, he was trying to show respect. It didn't go over well, but the intent is not. It's just frustrating. Yeah, go ahead. It's enough already.
Oh, well, I'll just move on since you.
No. I want to know.
I feel the paper crumbling, the conversation paper crumbling.
No, I want to hear what you said.
I said, can I interject? I know that Cena speaks fluent Mandarin. I know that he surprised the WWE.
I didn't know that.
He learned Mandarin on the side when he was a professional wrestler or an active professional wrestler because WWE has made headways into the Asian market. So I had seen something on either on WWE programming or Entertainment Tonight or something, some fluffy piece, which I actually very much respect. I don't disagree with you about intent, but I do believe, especially I'm agreeing with the gentleman from CNN, I do think what it does show is, I don't know if it's hypocrisy with Hollywood. I'm not saying Cena, but they are very dependent on the Chinese mainland. They spend probably a shit ton of money on U.S. entertainment and movies, and all these people in Hollywood are very high and mighty about politics, this, that, and the other thing. When it comes, even the NBA did the same thing a couple of years ago when the general manager Daryl Morey called out China, and the NBA has pre-games in China and all sorts of stuff. LeBron James, he didn't want to say anything. So I do think it's hypocritical in that sense, because what it really shows, I think, is, yes, what the fella from CNN said, which is the almighty dollar rules. And
absolutely.
I'm not going to call BS on that, because I might have done the same thing. I don't disagree with you. I think John Cena is a good guy. Probably just got a little bit squirreled up. But I think it does show the hypocrisy when it comes to the almighty dollar and perhaps the Hollywood. That's all I'll say.
But there's also, and one more thing. There's also a little hypocrisy on the other side, because I did read that the movie is tanking in China because of it. I read a couple articles about that. So as far as I'm concerned, you would think that the people politically who consider China the enemy, they would laud Cena as a hero. But no, because he's Hollywood, he's easy to attack, an easy target, and they need to, like Ben Shapiro. He always I hate that guy. Yes, I do. And I don't like the guy from CNN either. You know, they like what do they have to do with this? It's not news. I don't think it is anyway.
Come on, Andy. Come on.
Is it really? That matters with all the shit that's going on. That matters. Really?
It's all in the eye of the beholder. Who are you? I mean, I'm sorry, but who are you to say what's an important story and what's not an important story?
I'll agree. I'll agree with that. I just think
I don't see hypocrisy in the sense that if you're saying, well, then the Chinese people put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. I see no hypocrisy that they were apparently.
No, it's not. It's not Chinese hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy on our side.
But where is anybody? They're upset because he. Well, all right, you know what I'm. I mean, all right.
I'm confused now. It's so silly. I don't know.
They were upset. People were upset at Cena because he offered a lame apology.
No, I know that.
Did not recognize, Taiwan's democracy. And I'm sure that's what he meant to do. That's my point, and you agree with me. I didn't.
No, you agreed with me, and we agree. It's the intent, but they love to.
But it's always fun discussing semi-fringy political stuff with you. I just feel the tension ratcheting up, and
there's no tension. We just agreed. We're agreeing.
I feel like I get like a nervous stomachache.
We're agreeing though.
Tom Shudo, they should. All right. Anyway, well, here's something fun, Groo. There's no business like show business, like no business I know. No. Groo, more than a year after they were postponed due to the pandemic, the 2020 Tony Awards will finally air on September 26th. But in a bit of a blow.
He said it, folks. I did not.
To the theater industry's visibility, the award show celebrating the best of Broadway will air mostly on the streaming platform Paramount Plus. The usual naming of winners on the subscription service will be followed by a bigger CBS special called The Tony Awards Present Broadway's Back, which will feature performances from nominated musicals Moulin Rouge, Jagged Little Pill, and Tina. The Tina Turner I am so out of it. I don't know any of these.
Me neither.
So it goes on to say that they've kicked the Tonys to the streaming curb. It's unclear if the Tonys' permanent new home will be Paramount Plus or if it's a quick ploy to snag a few million new subscribers. While other award shows such as the Oscars, Grammys, and the Golden Globes have seen huge dips in viewership, I think the Golden Globes are even off the air now. The Tonys have held onto a pretty steady audience of 6 to 7 million. Broadway fans tend to be devoted and put their money where their mouth is. For instance, in the 5 weeks after the musical Hamilton dropped on Disney Plus, that service added 3 million subscribers. Groo, is Broadway getting a big snub here?
I don't think so. I think it's a good move. I think more people than not are. Did you just gargle water?
Yes, I always said. Yes. Anyway.
I think streaming is taking over. I've gotten rid of cable, which I never thought I would do.
Are you saying that the stigma of streaming is becoming less and less, and it's not a big deal for say what you want. Tonys are a major. I don't think award shows are, in my world, major, but it's a major award show.
Yeah, but I think award shows are going in that direction. Viewership is because movies have changed. Broadway, it's all changed. How we view these movies and these shows and these songs, listen to these songs. Everything's changed, and there are so many award shows that it's got to be. I think in order to appeal to it's got to appeal to their certain masses, and like maybe CBS is too. I don't know. It's everything seems to be headed in that direction. So why not? Why don't let them be the first? Let them blaze the trail and air exclusively on the Paramount Network. And I say that as a Paramount subscriber. But you know me, I get everything.
Oh, he's got to drop his little breadcrumb of.
Well, they are a paid advertiser for us, so.
Yeah, well, content is king, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But I think I think we may have again gotten there a different way, but yes, I think now content they have to quote unquote evolve. Yeah. We've heard that word quite a bit over the last couple of years with a lot of entertainment, and you have to find new sources, new platforms to ply your trade, and it's almost like the viewership is kind of on subscription. It's almost secondary. It's like we want to be able to put this cachet on a streaming service and be able to promote that in a bigger menu of items. Is that kind of what? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I mean,
I think Paramount looks at it. I think Paramount looks at it like, well, we don't give a really. I don't know, but I would be like, I don't give a shit if the Tonys dropped 4 million, 3 million. Like we can to promote that and say we're the exclusive home of the Tonys, and we can package that with other maybe Broadway based. I think that's kind of where it's going right now.
Look, I got the Peacock thing for Saturday because they have every Saturday Night Live, and that's the only reason I got it.
For the WWE. You didn't get it for the WWE.
I had already had it. WWE came 7 or 8 months after the Peacock started, maybe even more.
Well, excuse me, I forgot who I'm talking to. King of Streaming.
And I don't remember what it was that the Paramount had that I wanted. I think Paramount used to be CBS All Access, and I had that for something. I forgot what it was. But then it opens up all these other things, like you said. And Jesus Christ, all weekend long I couldn't leave. I was watching every episode of The Love Boat, for Christ's sake. I mean, where else do you get that? I mean, I got to see Tom Hanks before he was Tom Hanks.
Did you watch that because of Gavin McLeod's death? Or
no, it was actually oddly enough, I was watching The Love Boat as I got the notification that Captain Stubing died.
Cherry Coke,
Isaac. Yeah.
Yes.
No, but my point is, they have all of this stuff that that you didn't even know was there. So I think, and that's where they're going. The libraries that these things have is just unreal. Like how the money they must spend to get. You go to just a few years ago, you'd go to an FYE in a mall, and you'd see like the full season of The King of Queens for like $30. All right, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, I got to get this one season." Now you pay $4.99 a month to get not only the one season of The King of Queens, but all the seasons of The King of Queens and all the seasons of Everybody Loves Raymond and all this shit. So your fat ass will never get off the couch again. You'll die at 49 of a heart attack, but you're going to go out smiling for the mirth and merriment that you're going to be watching. God bless streaming.
I love those shows you mentioned, and as a matter of fact, I just watched the Mick Foley biography, and Kevin
on
James is on. Yeah, they went to college together. My alma mater of SUNY Cortland.
Yeah. So I think that's where everything's headed. The Oscars this year. I didn't watch. Did you?
Hell no. Come on.
Right, but I also. But then I realized.
First of all, I don't find those shows interesting. But number two, I'm just not into movies like that. Like when I was a kid, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know a lot of the big movies that make the Oscars. It seems like I don't know.
I'd never heard I looked at all the Best Picture nominees after the show, and I was like, not only have I not seen any of these, I don't think I've ever heard of them. And you know me, I'm a movie buff. So for me not to know them, that's bad, I would think. And it's all about me. You know that.
It is. Groo, let's make it about somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go through the whole article.
Okay.
But Groo, let me just get your thoughts because I want to go to my fifth and final article.
Okay.
But, let's make it Instagram official. Groo, are you excited for prospects of Bennifer 2.0? Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have been seen and commiserating and
thank God life can begin again. All right, yeah. Can we move on? Jesus Christ.
Let me move on, Groo.
Really is incredible.
This is one I'm interested to get your take on. Say it ain't so. Vince McMahon is always open for business, Andrew. But would that ever mean that WWE is for sale? Now, as we broke this morning, the WWE have released some 80 total executives and talent. I don't know if you're aware, Andrew, but this morning they cut about another 6 wrestlers. Some big names in the WWE world, biggest, of course, being Braun Strowman, Lana, Murphy, Aleister Black, some pretty big names in the WWE universe. Recent company decisions, Groo, seem to be moving the company in that direction as they continue their projected plan of action. The WWE have laid off a lot of people over the last 2 weeks to merge multiple departments into one division. This corporate restructuring also came with the firing of several executive vice presidents. The company, Andrew, is eliminating quote-unquote redundancies and strengthening their bottom line. That could come with even bigger plans in store. Nick Khan, who's the company president, has spearheaded the majority of these latest moves as he prepares the WWE for the next chapter in the company's history. Andrew, let's quote Wrestling Observer Radio's Dave Meltzer, who went into detail into the situation, where he discussed a very interesting idea. It is plausible that the WWE is gearing themselves to go on sale. Many of the things that the company is doing would support that idea. Quote, they're going to be people with more work, but they wanted to cut the headcount down because they're trying to increase their profitability. And that's, I mean, they're trying to set this thing up for sale. That's a good thing to do. It was also noted that the WWE is moving into new headquarters as they cut their workforce after looking over their staff. There's a lot of reasons why WWE have fired people, but the reasons that they have been, quote-unquote, Andrew, budget cuts. WWE is raising their profits, continuing to produce content with insane value in the realm of streaming, which we talked about a little bit earlier, which I will talk about further. And here's my question to you, Groo. Let me take a breath. Might we see the day where the WWE enters the sell market eventually and be owned by someone or something other than a McMahon? Floor is yours.
Yes, I think so, and I think it will happen sooner rather than later. I have looked at all these things, and all of them do seem to be headed in that direction. With the network being bought up by Peacock, everything. The WWE is definitely seems to be outsourcing a lot of its stuff. For them to get rid of a huge name like Braun Strowman is a very telling sign. But like any other company, that when they don't need somebody, when somebody is not really fitting in with their current whatever they're trying to do, it's best to move on. And I think Braun Strowman will have a big career in one of the other companies. With that said, to answer your question, I think that the WWE will sell, with the understanding that Vince McMahon will still run the company until he dies, meaning that whatever deal he makes to sell it, somebody else might own it, but the deal will have him as the president or CEO or COO until his dying day. He will never give up control of the company, of how it's run. He might give up ownership, but he'll never give up control of producing wrestling. That's my thinking. What do you think?
Interesting points. I like everything that you laid out. Let me break down what Andy said piece by piece. Number one, will the WWE sell sooner than later? I absolutely agree with Andrew. I think that's where they're going. To his other point about Vince running would the deal include that? I won't really comment on that. I don't know that to be true or not to be true, but I think the reality of there being somebody other than a McMahon on the letterhead, or yes, running the company day to day, I think it's more realistic than ever. I look at this in two different ways, Andrew. I look at it as a wrestling fan and as a business proposition. As a business proposition, I can't really critique the WWE. I am not a fan of anyone losing their jobs, But if I'm really being brutally honest, there's not really one cut that makes me go, oh my God, I wish they would have held on to him. I don't think Braun Strowman will make it big in AEW because the WWE, they are hit makers. Even though as the leading, the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment, the last 20 years have been rough. Their position in terms of, I got a lot of thoughts on this, in terms of mainstream media has decreased. They don't get the viewership where when we talked about Paramount Plus, content is at an all-time high. It's almost like the stock market. Its valuation is just off the roof. The Tony Awards could get 10,000 viewership, and you feel like it would sell for millions of dollars, so Paramount Plus can list it in their menu of items. As a wrestling fan, do I want someone other than Vince McMahon to run the company or to be on, to have ownership? I don't know. Vince gets a lot of criticism, but damn it, he took it in the late 70s from a smoky. I mean, when I watched it on Channel 9, it was a smoky, grainy, black and white, very no production to the heights that it's taken today. And there's been a lot of misses, but he's had a lot more hits. Your point about Braun. Is he going to go to AEW and put fear in the boots? Shake? I don't think so. The WWE could take someone from AEW. I think they could take like an MJF, who's kind of known as their biggest guy, and make them into a star. I think that's what they'll do. If there's one guy I wish they would have held on to, I liked Aleister Black. I liked his presentation. I liked his wrestling.
Was he the guy who snubbed you at the airport, or was that the Velveteen Dream?
No, that was the Velveteen Dream.
Oh, okay.
And actually, it's funny. I'll tell you quick. I went on Instagram, on his official Instagram page. I was being like a squirrely and being a dick. And I actually wrote, because most of the posts were about him being released.
Right.
Now, as Andy's referenced Velveteen Dream, very quickly, he had some very troubling allegations about underage boys, hitting them up on social media. And the WWE claimed that they did a full investigation. They found no cause, but, the buzzards were circling. Every time they used them sparingly on TV. Every time they used them, it was just a tremendous amount of social media hate. And so I guess, that apparently, Andy, what they said about him was he was actually a dick behind the scenes. Something happened where he was like a dick behind the scenes, and they just said, let's cut him. But Andy is referencing, Andy and I went to WrestleMania a couple of years ago in New Orleans, and we said our goodbyes at the airport, and he went to his terminal. I went to mine, and I ran into a whole bunch of WWE and NXT guys. And I took photos, and I was literally online behind Velveteen Dream, and I was like, "Hi, Mr. Dream."
Mr. Dream.
I'm a big fan, and I stuck my hand out. And this is well before COVID. He's like, "I don't shake hands."
Didn't he have some kind of weird glove on?
No, he was just like, and like Drew McIntyre was there. I shook his hand. Jeff Jarrett. Adam Cole.
I remember you were texting me the pictures as we were both waiting in our respective
Terry Taylor.
I was like, you son of a bitch.
And so I wrote
and I get to meet Conrad Thompson.
Yeah, but I mean that's great too. But I on his Instagram page, I was like, you know what? 5 years ago in New Orleans, I gave you praise, and and I went to shake your hand, and you rejected it or something like that, and I felt really stupid. And
did he respond?
Somebody wrote, I got like a lot of positive. I wrote "Karma's a bitch," and then somebody wrote, "Hey, you can't always get what you want." That was like my one. Somebody gave me a little pushback on.
Ooh, that was original.
So, but to go back to your point, I mean, Braun Strowman. If you look specifically with Braun, like 2 years ago, they should have put the belt on him. Yeah, I think it was SummerSlam versus Brock. The time was right. He was at an all-time high. No, it wasn't any disrespect to Brock, but if you were going to do it, you should have done it there. They do that a lot.
It's like they're cutting him for mistakes that they made.
You might be right, but I mean, do you really think Braun Strowman's going to go to AEW and you're going to see, a million viewership shift to AEW?
No, but I think he could be successful. No.
Would you watch AEW because Braun Strowman's on there?
No.
I might turn it on just to see, and then I'll probably be like, and turn the channel.
Look, a lot of people who we've really enjoyed in WWE have gone over. I have not watched 1 minute of one episode of any AEW thing.
Here's my last question before I move on. Is there any WWE wrestler, if you heard, went to AEW that you would say, you know what, I got to put it on to see him or her?
Yeah, The Miz. That's about it.
I think I would be interested to see Roman Reigns. That would be about it, So
yeah, you and I just will never agree on that. I would be interested to see what The Miz. And here's the reason, though, because I feel he's being underutilized in the WWE. That's the problem.
Andy, look, face facts. He's mid-card fodder.
Right, but I think he's more talented than that, and I think
40
he could.
Years old. He's 4.
Is he 40?
Yeah, he's 40. You need counseling. You let it go, my friend.
Hey, you're as big a fan as I am.
By the way, I'm a huge fan. I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan. But I think after this last, championship run where he was in complete transitional, held it for like 2 weeks. To me, he's got to see the.
But again, that's the WWE's decision, not his. And I feel like he could bring something. He could be a bigger fish in a smaller pond over there, and that I'd be interested. That I'd be interested in seeing. But I'm still glad he's in WWE, and I hope he stays there forever.
Well, I think the interesting thing is we'll see what happens with the WWE in the next days and weeks. I mean, it really could be like,
and it seems to be moving fast too. So
yes, it does. So, all right, Andrew, let's move on. We actually got some viewer email. Listeners did chime in with some comments on our last podcast. Andrew, it was Billy Joel, River of Dreams. So let's get to it, Groo. It's time for viewer mail.
Letters, we got your letters. We got your letters every day. Mailman ding dong, give me a letter today.
Nothing Worthwhile viewer mail is sponsored by New You Life Center. No goal is too big, Andrew. No journey is too far. Check out their hormone balancing programs for men and women. www.newulifecenters.com or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you, New You Life Center. Courtesy of our Facebook fan page, you can check out Nothing Worthwhile on Facebook at www.facebook.com/nothingworthwhile1985. I like the intro Evan Moody does with each of the River of Dreams songs, gives the length of each song. But what you do not seem to realize is that Billy Joel is broken. He is not a happy person, clearly lacks self-confidence, hates most of his stuff, 3 marriages. Some strong comments, Groo. Thoughts on perhaps a broken Billy Joel?
Where have we said anything other than that? We have said that all along. He's got low self-esteem. He doesn't even like his own work. I think he's on marriage number 4. So there's nothing that says that I disagree with. We've always maintained all of that. No?
Yeah, I think broken's a little bit strong.
Maybe.
I think isn't it people's nature to be most critical of their own works? I mean, don't you look at maybe some of the stuff you've done and go, man, I could have done that better? Or, I know I do.
Yes, but like Bon Jovi says, 100 million fans can't be wrong. And, at some point you got to say, hey, maybe I'm pretty good at this, and have a little, a guy like that he's obviously got something in him that will not, maybe it goes back to his father leaving him when he was young, maybe I don't know. Look, everybody's got their demons, and he's no different. So, I could, broken might be a strong word because he doesn't, but he's obviously not a super happy guy. You could tell that even back then, his lyrics, there are a lot of lyrics to a lot of those songs that are pretty damn depressing. But they're still fantastic. So I agree, but I don't know why he says, What do you say? We don't understand that. That's all we've said. So.
No. It was just he just said we don't seem to realize that Billy Joel is broken. I would make a. I didn't listen to it, but Billy Joel is on Chaz Palminteri's latest podcast.
I saw that it happened. I haven't watched it because it'll probably be like another my daughter asked me what happens when you die. So I don't need any more of that.
Two old guys from New York.
If there was anything revelatory on that thing, we would have heard about it by now. So
5 points for revelatory. Good job.
Was that nebulous?
I agree. Yes, I agree with the River of Dreams live version. I do find it annoying when he sings a cover song in the middle. It's actually pretty annoying. Groo, do we find River of Dreams annoying with the cover?
I think I said something to that effect. I don't like the song anyway, and I think you
don't like River of Dreams?
Yeah, I think I said that on the last podcast. I'm not a huge fan.
You
of the
slept
song.
with Pamela Anderson?
You weren't supposed to tell my future ex-wife Kaylee Cuoco that. No, I never.
I did not know you were not a fan of River of Dreams, but let's go to River of Dreams live version.
Yeah, it is annoying.
Let me give you my quick thought.
Okay.
The thing about the cover song is that could have been like a cool concert staple, like with the Residency or all of his live shows. Meaning, like the Grateful Dead has drum space. That could have been a cool, kitschy thing to do at all of his shows. My problem is Billy does the same 3 or 4 cover songs. It would have been really cool if on that break he does just did a cycle of did some cool stuff. Instead it's Hard Day's Night, Take It Easy, maybe some kind of 60s doo-woppy thing.
Doesn't he do Rock and Roll Zeppelin? Or is that...
No, that's with...
that's at the end.
You may be right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you may be right.
Well...
So... again, I think that plays into Billy is a little bit more choreographed or orchestrated on his live show than some of the other artists that we enjoy. Now, had he done a cool cover every show, you're like, what is he going to play tonight? That would have been, that could have been, I would have no problem with that. That would have been cool. You're at the Residency, you're like, what cool cover is he going to throw in between, in the segue on River of Dreams? Your thoughts?
Or do some callbacks to some of his old stuff. That's what I hate when people play covers of other people's stuff and they're ignoring so much of their own songbook, which they should play. It reminds me of something Elton John did the first time. I think it was the first time I'd ever seen him, which was with you at Madison Square Garden in 1992 on the One Tour. Remember?
I remember the show, but what did he do that annoyed you?
I don't know. It didn't annoy me. It was cool. I forget what song it was, but it was during the song that in the middle of it, he started playing riffs from songs that had been left behind. He played something from Benny and the Jets, and he played something from Sacrifice, and you just started hearing these little familiar riffs, and then he went back into the song. Maybe it was Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, something like that. So that was cool. That was, I enjoyed that. So if Billy Joel was in the middle of River of Dreams, he would play a little bit of Stiletto, or he'd play a little bit of Street Life Serenade, or something we'd never hear, that he would never really play the whole thing of. But no, I don't need to hear him sing Take It Easy. Maybe the day after Glenn Fry dies.
Because you've heard him. But you've heard him do it. But I mean, it would have been cool. He gets into the break and he does Thunder Road. Or he's on Thunder Road a little bit. Actually,
yeah, and he's done. I don't need to see him do Born to Run either, because he almost does it jokingly. So and you know what?
I don't mean Thunder Road as an example. I'm just saying, what if he gets into the segue and does Mellencamp Authority song or something? That would have been cool, and then change it up every show.
He does the same few. Yeah, you're right.
All right. You think Lullaby is sad? I think it's a lullaby. Nothing sad about it at all. The only problem is that the song ends abruptly. I think it's a little unbalanced. 2,000 Years and Famous Last Words are classic Billy Joel songs, just like his old stuff. Pretty strong take, Andrew. Thoughts on Lullaby and the final 2 tracks on River of Dreams?
Did we say Lullaby was sad? I guess we did.
I didn't. Yeah,
I did.
Well, I don't think it's overtly sad. I mean, it's about
death.
I don't want to get deep. It's about death, and so it does. It. Again, I think I said
it's poignant.
That song, that song actually influences me. Where I it's so my view on death.
So maybe sad's a strong word. Yeah, all right, I'll give him that. I agree with him on 2,000 Years. Obviously, I disagree with him on Famous Last Words, but I know you agree. I know you agree with him on that, and that's perfectly fine. But we were both very clear about that last time. So,
and finally, an interesting comment on Howard Stern, which will segue us into our topic today. But he says, "Really interested to see, to hear about the evolution of Howard Stern. I am shocked no one directly calls him out on who or what he becomes." I mean,
they do.
That every
he just ignores it.
We get into text fights over it.
But it's not just us; it's pretty much everybody.
Can't believe he does not even address the New York Post article. Why doesn't Stern just quit? Seems obvious he does not enjoy the show anymore. So, Andrew, let me just hold your thought for a second, because that email leads us perfectly to our today's Nothing Worthwhile podcast. Post Summit Stern is sponsored by New You Life Center. The journey is everything, Andrew. Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine named him in the top 15 med spas to watch in 2021. She's in Tijuana, Mexico. Check out their medical aesthetics and cosmetic injectable program at www.newyoulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU lifecenters.com. Or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you, New You Life Centers. Andy, post-Summit Stern, Marcy Turk, let's set the stage. We've already spoke about this before. Hi, boo-boo. That Marcy Turk has been working with Howard Stern since 2012. At that time, it was widely known that Howard was growing frustrated with managing all of the details of his radio show. He had recently joined the NBC family-friendly show America's Got Talent as a judge. What were your thoughts when we've talked about this briefly, but was this like the kiss of death for Howard? Were you hopeful that Howard might do a good job at AGT? What were your thoughts?
Very briefly, in theory, I was excited, but in practice, it didn't fly. It was like it was painful to see him doing shtick with and I love Howie Mandel, but to see them doing that competition show shtick was, I think I lasted 2 episodes of the first season and I never watched after that. It was certainly exciting and I love the lead up to it. I love how he's like I'm a judge, order in the court, like he was having fun with it on the air. But once it started, it was obvious that I think to fans like us, it was a train wreck. I'd forgotten all about it until you just said something. Yeah.
I can't add any more. It was like I was excited, but I knew bad moves. Like I knew in my mind, this was not a good move.
Now, if he had ripped the people who deserve to get ripped to shreds, like I thought he was going to do, that might have been fun. But he was being nice, and Howard Stern is not a nice guy. I have no interest in the nice Howard Stern.
When Howard brought on Marcy Turk, he was known he wanted to elevate his show, and create a friendly atmosphere for lengthy interviews with actors and musicians. Howard has said on the air that he had gone just about as far as he could go, interviewing a steady stream of strippers and adult film stars. So Howard called David Allen, author of Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, and asked for help. He contacted our office directly and asked, "Hey, do you have any coaches?" says Mr. Allen, who directed him to Marcy Turk, who had been working out of the David Allen Company New York office. Marcy Turk was a good fit, Allen said, because she's smart, savvy, classy, hip, and fast. Us in the Stern world know her as the kiss of death. Let me ask you this before I get into getting things done, the philosophy. Marcy Turk came on board in 2012. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this, but did you notice a noticeable shift around that time or 2013 where you were like, wow, the show is just milquetoast, or it's not fun or exciting anymore?
Not right away. I think I hung in there for a little bit.
Interesting.
Me too. But you just see, I didn't know, and pretty much anything of what you just said, I didn't really know that.
Really?
I thought Marcy Turk came from Sirius.
Nope.
So now that you told me the genesis of Marcy Turk and that Howard sought someone to come in and do everything, it now just kind of changes everything and makes it so much worse. So much worse that Howard
Why do you feel
sabotaged his own show. That's what I just got from what you just said. Howard sabotaged his own show. Up until what you just said, I really thought, and I know Craig is going to kill me for not knowing this, but I really thought that she came on as like a new producer. I thought it was as simple as that. She was hired by Sirius as a new producer, and Howard fell in love with what she brought to the thing. I did not. So it's almost like he realized, he's like, oh, hey, this is I'm enjoying myself better under this new direction. Okay, fine. I did not know he actively sought someone to shake everything up out of his desire to work less or work easier. And again, it sounds to me like he, in the eyes of people like you and me, he sabotaged his own show. In his mind, he saved his own show and made it 10 times better. In our eyes, it's the opposite. So now I'm even more depressed.
Well, I won't comment on your comments. I find that actually real. I have nothing to add because that's a real unique, organic perspective. I didn't know you weren't aware of that.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Well, Groo, what is exactly Getting Things Done, better known as GTD? Getting Things Done is a system for getting organized and staying productive. It may seem complicated on the outside, but the end goal is to spend less time doing as Andy mentioned, have to spend less time doing the things you have to do so you have more time to do the things you want to do. Getting Things Done, here, let me go. It has 5 pillars. 5 pillars or steps to getting and staying organized. Number 1, capture everything. Your to-dos, your ideas, your recurring tasks, everything. Put it on pen and paper, put it on a to-do app, planner, whatever you prefer to use to get organized. Number 2, clarify the things you have to do. Don't just write down, plan a vacation. Break it down into small, actionable steps so there's no barrier to just doing the task. If there's anything you can do right away and you have time to do it, get it done. If there's anything you can delegate, delegate it. Number 3, organize. Organize those actionable items by category and priority. Assign due dates when you can, set reminders, pay special attention to each item's priority. I'm going through these kind of quick. Number 4, reflect on your to-do list. Look over your to-do, look over your to-dos, see what your next action should be. This is where your clarifying steps pay off because you should be able to pick something you have time and energy to do right away. And the last one, Andy, is engage and get to work. Choose your next action and get to it. Your to-dos are organized by priority and placed in categories. You know what to work on and when. They're broken into manageable, bite-sized chunks and that are easy to start. So, Andy, those are the 5 basic principles of getting things done. You can spend less time thinking about what to do and how to work and more time actually working on it. So it's a philosophy-based kind of deal. Any thoughts on getting things done? Howard's really bought into it.
Yeah, when are you going to start talking about getting things done? Are we going to continue with the professional development session, or are we going to move on? This is, I'm sorry if I offend anybody with this. I know what I'm about to say might be jarring to some, but there's a definition for everything you just said in my mind, and it's called obsessive compulsive disorder. That reeks of that. Everything has to be managed perfectly, and if it's just a little askew, everything else gets completely fucked up. And that's, to me, that's exactly what he did to this show. Not to our show, to his show.
Howard Stern, do you think, I'm going to interrupt here, do you think Howard Stern has OCD?
I think so. To an extent. There are different levels of it, but no, but I mean, I said that as kind of a joke because I know it's not meant to be that, but it's like, that's like all the self-help shit that he used to laugh at, and I wonder what made him, whoever it was like people whispering in his ear. We've talked about this. It's like, you don't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I want every second of my life to be micromanaged. Like, I was listening to you saying all that, and I said, or you could just get on the air for 3.5 hours and talk to your audience. You know, now I know it's a lot more complicated than that, I do, but it didn't feel that way. The show had an organic feel to it that is long gone. Now everything that you just said comes through the radio. It feels structured. It feels planned. It feels tiered and leveled. And that's not the show that we want to hear anymore. At least
let me comment. Yeah, it's
please.
Great takes, and I don't disagree. Hasn't Howard, though, if you go back to clips all the way in the late 80s, hasn't Howard complained about the lack of productivity from his office? Hasn't that been great fodder for the radio? But if you listen to back in the early 90s, I mean, he's, clips are not where they're supposed to be. He's yelling at Baba Booey for production. He's yelling at Scott for fucking up. And while it may have made for great radio, hasn't Howard always complained about just the lack of professionalism of his staff, of his show?
Yep, and that's what made it great. That's the whole thing.
That's what made it great.
That's his frustration. And look, obviously, it's wrong of me to root for him to be unhappy, but that was it. It always seemed to me like that was how they got such gold. It was the inter-office, not the inter-office politics, which is what it is now. It was the inter-office squabbles and people complaining and people bitching and moaning and Howard upset that his potato wasn't cooked right. Like, all of that stuff was just gold. And for a radio host to be able to use his frustration to generate hundreds of millions of dollars, and people who I'm remembering in my mind now when he went on that first book tour for Private Parts, he was drawing like Trump-sized rallies. Yes. People were like, that wouldn't happen today. Not even close. And like, would we even go? Like, if it was, I went to one. It was a great experience, and like, that's. I mean,
well,
talking about this is very frustrating.
Save your thoughts because we're going to sum it. We'll summarize our thoughts of the show today. So, interesting take on that, Groo. So, Groo, who the heck is David Allen, the founder of Getting
Exactly.
Things Done? Well, I do want to share this view because you're gonna. I was reading this and I could not believe when I read this.
Is this going to upset me?
Yeah. David Allen grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana, where he acted. He won a state championship in debate. He went to college at New College, which is, I guess, now called New College of Florida. That's fine, Sarasota, Florida. Completed graduate work at the University of California, Berkeley. Graduate work in American history. Here's where things go askew. This is the guru of Howard Stern of Marcy Turk.
God.
After graduate school, Allen began using heroin and was briefly institutionalized.
I shouldn't be laughing at that, but that's wrong.
Listen to this. Please allow me to dazzle your mind even more. David Allen's career path has included the following jobs, Andrew.
Scientology?
Magician, waiter, karate teacher, landscaper, vitamin distributor, glass blowing operator, travel agent, gas station manager, U-Haul dealer, moped salesman, restaurant cook, personal growth trainer, manager of a lawn service company, and manager of a travel agency. He is an ordained minister with the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness. Yet he claims to have worked in 35 professions before the age of 35. He began applying his perspective on productivity with businesses in the 1980s, where he was awarded a contract to design a program for executives and managers at Lockheed Martin. Simply incredible. I wrote on my notes, God bless the USA, really. A guy that has 35, it's been, so sporadic, was actually awarded a contract to program an efficiency model for Lockheed Martin. I find that to be pretty wild. I don't know your thoughts.
It is. Well, look, he's had almost as many careers as I've had colleges in my life. But look, I'm all for people trying and finding what works for them. You try, you don't like this, you try something else. I respect that. I was laughing as you were saying that because I know the end game. But if you're telling me, if you're telling me somebody because the end game is all of a sudden he does all of these things and then he literally single-handedly destroys the greatest radio show in the history of radio.
Well, no. I'm not going to say that because
or
that
causes it anyway.
Marcy Turk, but my thing is, for a guy who has had such a, let's say, inconsistent or sporadic career path, it's incredible that he was able to fashion himself as an efficiency or productivity expert. I do find that fascinating because the guy, it's common now. I got this off of some website, his background. I was like, well, who is this guy to quote unquote project himself as a efficiency expert? If I'm an efficiency expert, I'd want to look to a guy or a gal who's had a very consistent record of success in management for a company or companies, turnaround, this kind of thing. And this guy is, whenever I see vitamin distributor, I'm thinking, on the fringes. I'm thinking heroin. I really am.
Well, that's fascinating. It really is.
Andy, he created the David Allen Company, which is an executive coaching firm using his Getting Things Done methodology. So he hires presenters. So David Allen's not really the guy that's going to give lectures. So he's going to hire the Marcy Turks and the various people, to do seminars on his methodology. Although he will occasionally give lectures or sessions. He founded Actioneer, a company specializing in productivity tools for the Palm Pilot. Andy, he's written 3 books: Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, Ready for Anything, 52 Productivity Principles for Work and Life, and Making It All Work, Winning at the Game of Work and Business of Life. He lives in Ojai, California with his 4th wife, Catherine.
Talk about getting things done.
In 2014, they moved to Amsterdam in the Netherlands, probably to smoke weed all day. Andrew Guthius, David Allen, Howard Stern's guru.
Now it all makes sense. I can't add anything to that. It's so outrageous that, like I said, there's nothing wrong with finding your way in life, but for someone like Howard Stern, he could have written the book. He did write the book. He did write the book. How to get things done, how to turn nothing into something. He revolutionized radio. He created a brand. He did all that. I guess he's Billy Joel. He hates his own work. You know, I mean, like, you
no,
know,
because you've made that analogy. I don't think Billy Joel will forsake.
I know,
his
I'm kidding, but I'm just.
I mean, you know, like for example, I find it stunning that when he promoted his last book, Howard Stern Comes Again, which is just an absolute money rip shell, but he actually was quoted as saying, you know, burn my first 2 books, and I think Private Parts is a literary
masterpiece.
Genius. I mean,
yes.
I mean, Miss America, I felt like as a reader was a little bit of a dip. Nonetheless, I enjoyed Miss America, but Private Parts, I was mesmerized. I couldn't wait to turn the page.
Yep.
Every page was crackling with energy.
Yes.
I just couldn't wait for him. And for him to say, you know what, burn that book. You know, you want to say you evolved, and you know, there's some things I'd probably take a little bit of umbrage with, but you know what? It was my mindset at that time, and you know, but to sit there, you know, Howard's really forsaken that.
No, but I understand. But I'm okay with looking back on what you've done and being embarrassed by it. You know, you and I are the kings of that. But
sure.
You know, it's okay to do that, but to go to this guy I'm so mesmerized by everything you just said.
Well, like
of all the people,
you know,
it's almost like he joined a cult. It's almost like he was like brainwashed by this guy.
Hold.
Okay.
Because one more juicy bit about getting things done. It's actually been called a cult, courtesy of CBSNews.com.
Really?
GTD, creepy cult or perfect approach to productivity. When the author mentioned David Allen's getting things done approach, oh no, you're gonna have to wait, Braxton.
Did Puppy Shango just crap on your foot?
Can we pause? I may have to take him to the bathroom.
Okay.
Oh, no.
All right.
Interesting, Groo, you mentioned getting things done as a cult. We mentioned the article. Author says that he had talked to a colleague about GTD, and the colleague said, that cult thing. And the author goes on to say, a cult? Here I was thinking GTD was pretty good. A tad bit over-engineered way to keep your life organized.
This is the writer of the article?
Yeah, he said, my quite intelligent and well-read friend was likening its followers to the adherents of Heaven's Gate. I was curious, so I did some research. Turned out my friend isn't the only one with that reaction. Apparently there are quite a few folks out there who don't trust David Allen's connection. He is apparently aligned with somebody by the name of John Roger, a controversial spiritual guru. It's not that the GTD books will turn you into a thought slave. Rather, critics accuse Getting Things Done of being part of a program to recruit people into John Rogers' religious group, that movement of inner spiritual awareness, which has been labeled a cult. So the author just goes on to say, a little bit creepy to consider, but he's not using Getting Things Done strategy for spiritual enlightenment. I'm using them to keep my inbox empty and my deadlines managed. So, Andy, you did talk about, ironically enough, Getting Things Done as a cult. So before we move on to Howard and the summit, what's your take on the whole Getting Things Done thing?
Well, I think I said it before you read it. It sounded like a cult, and obviously I'm not the only one who thinks that. But I'm a guy who looks at anything that really governs your every move as kind of cultish. And I know this is going to be unpopular, but there are parts of 12-step programs that I think are a little cultish.
Of course, sure.
You know what I mean? Like AA,
yeah.
like I've heard, there are a couple people who I know who have been through AA, and God bless them for wanting to get better, but they also set rules for themselves, and life is not about rules. In my opinion, this is how everybody has their own path and their own way. If you think you need to be guided by a set of rules that you cannot violate, otherwise everything falls to shit, that's your choice. but it's also my choice to comment on it. And I think that it had this particular situation. Somebody else's shtick had a negative effect on Howard Stern in many ways. Now, if this is what Howard needed to be able to continue doing his show and to continue and to be happy, then obviously I have to say that Howard Stern's personal happiness has to take precedence over the quality of his radio show.
Oh, how dare you!
It does. I mean, you can't say I want a great radio show. I don't give a shit if the guy's miserable or not. So
yeah, because Howard seems like such a happy guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, but look, we know that he does not lament the way he used to, and his pain was our entertainment. You have to admit that. His misery, was fodder for great radio. But to do a complete like, it's almost like he's giving his entire professional life to this 12-step program, which it didn't need that. Maybe it needed some restructuring, but not everything. I don't know what the word is, but not a complete overhaul. Do you know what I mean?
To quote Andrew, the everything started in 2012 when Marcy Turk became the chief operating officer of the Howard Stern Show and the Stern channels. Marcy has been called, Groo, the Howard Whisperer, the one who tamed the king of all media, making him more mainstream, even a woke slant politically, and even family-friendly through his AGT stint. But no one was prepared for the video that was released in July of 2019.
Wait, can I pause? Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
I don't know the answer. Was Marcy Turk or David Allen, were they part of the whatever group decision that Howard used to take the job at AGT?
Marcy was on board, and I'm sure she had influence in Howard taking the
Makes
AGT
sense.
position. Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry. Continue. I just didn't want to forget the question.
Yeah, no, I just lost all the momentum. God damn it. No. So no one was prepared. I know I wasn't for the video that was released in July of 2019 for one of the most infamous meetings that took place in 2018, a.k.a. the Howard Stern Summit. So, Groo, have you seen the Summit video?
Not all of it, and I don't think I could watch all of it because it is physically nauseating for a fan like me, and I know for you too. So very difficult to watch. So I've seen many parts of it. I've seen most of it in different parts, but I have not seen the whole thing, and I never will.
Well, courtesy of the Toronto Sun, it is Howard Stern takes credit for success of Letterman and Seinfeld, quote, leaked video. Shock jock Howard Stern claims credit for Jerry Seinfeld's career and orders staff to create fake Twitter accounts to badger celebs to appear on the show in a 2013 video which surfaced online. The 59-minute video, which was posted on YouTube, features the self-proclaimed king of all media giving a profanity-filled PowerPoint lecture to his behind-the-scenes staff on the long-running shows on the future. I want weekly. I want an A-list celebrity on our show. And 2 times per week, I want B-list celebrities, he said, implying their future employment hinged on their efforts. First thing, any comments on this now heavy focus on celebrity interviews, which is a real departure from Howard's show?
Is it though? He's been getting A-listers for a while. He wasn't overcome with A-listers, but I mean, go back to, let's say, I'm losing my timeline here. It was.
Do you remember a time when the show was promoted simply on the celebrity interview?
Oh no,
Because
never.
Okay, so there you go. I mean,
Right.
now if you go on Sirius, they'll be like today's show, Paul McCartney.
Yeah, we didn't know ahead of time. We never knew ahead of time.
You never had that even back in 08, I just feel I don't know.
Would you compare it at all? Would you compare it at all to like Saturday Night Live, like in a way? Because like I don't watch Saturday Night Live now unless the host is somebody I'm interested in. I used to watch it for the talent that was on the show. Didn't matter who was hosting. Is there a correlation?
Not a bad take. I just feel that Howard has really, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, evolution. I mean, the show is just completely different from 20 years ago. And I know things and norms change even on Saturday Night Live, but I don't feel the show has really shifted that much culturally. I do agree with you. I don't watch SNL much anymore. I'm more inclined to watch it if they have a guest that I enjoy. I mean,
Right.
Eddie Murphy, I was glued to my television.
Right.
I don't know, some kid on Netflix, whatever. I'm not watching. So,
Right.
But that's not a bad analogy. Stern, whose third book, Howard Stern Comes Again, debuted atop Amazon's bestseller list last month. Left terrestrial radio for subscription-based series in 2006, promising freedom from censorship and regulators. Sirius reported 23 million subscribers in 2012, of which Stern claims 60%, about 14 million listened to his show exclusively. I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's what publicists should hear. And I remember listening to that, and I stopped my notes here because, Howard's quoting stats that he doesn't even know are accurate. He's saying
Right.
60% of Sirius listeners, and this is back in 2013, listen to Howard's show. So, you can listen to other sources who claim that that's just a bullshit stat right off the bat. I don't know if you want to comment on.
Well, it just sounds to me like Howard Stern is a puppet. Like the guy I saw making that speech at that summit was a guy who was saying things that I had trouble believing that he believed. It seemed like somebody else was pulling the strings. I mean, do you want me to believe that he sat there and he constructed this entire PowerPoint, or did they do this whole thing and say it would be much stronger coming from you?
No, Howard really won't lift a finger to do any additional work. So probably he was advised, and he probably had feedback, perhaps. But no, did he make a constructive? By the way, it's a bullshit PowerPoint.
Of course,
it's very
it is
crudely constructed. I mean, like I could do a better PowerPoint, and I don't know PowerPoint that well. I mean,
yeah,
cut and paste.
I just think it's very simple. He just and I'm going to go back to Billy Joel now, and you'll see why, because we've spoken about this. You know how we spoke about how like Billy Joel, like especially for the Madison Square Garden shows, he just shows up. He doesn't even do the sound check. He shows up. The set list is already done, and he basically shows up 5 minutes before he goes on stage. And like Mike Del Giudice and Rosenthal and those guys, they're the ones who basically organize everything. It's kind of similar. Like, no, am I wrong?
Yeah, no. I think a little off base because Howard's creating fresh content supposedly on a day-to-day or the 3-day-a-week basis.
Is he creating it? Is he creating it?
Oh, you want to get into a whole philosophical?
I don't know.
Not,
I just,
go. All right, but let's stick to the summit.
Okay.
Some of the things he said. He slights Billy Corgan. Stern took sole credit for the success of the Smashing Pumpkins' 2012 album Oceana, claiming the legendary frontman was a non-factor in the industry until he appeared on the show. Billy Corgan was off the radar, Stern said. He came on the Howard Stern show and sold albums. I wrote in my own notes, very pompous. I don't know what your thoughts on, discrediting or
100% pompous, especially because if you want to tell me that, it depends how many albums that sold, and I'll tell you why. Because Howard Stern does not have the number of listeners. He doesn't have a fraction of the number of listeners that he used to have. He used to have 20 million listeners every day on terrestrial radio. All right? He's got down to 2 million on satellite?
If you listen to some of these podcasts and whatnot, they're claiming, as little as 2 to 3% of the audience now listen to the Stern Show on a typical basis.
Right. So to say that you're responsible for the Smashing Pumpkins, who were already an established act. If I was a fan of the Smashing Pumpkins, I'm going to know when they put out an album. I'm not going to need Howard Stern to tell me that a new Smashing Pumpkins album is out. And so the Smashing Pumpkins were, and maybe still are, a popular act with fans. So yes, it is very pompous to make that claim.
I think you could say, hey, I helped, our show helped, but to sit there and say that, they were off the radar and somehow, take sole credit for, Billy Corgan or Smashing Pumpkins.
Hey, I would say that if Billy Corgan went on Jimmy Fallon or Conan O'Brien, one of those late night shows that some of the younger people watch, they're just as responsible. They give him the television. They give him, there are more viewers of those shows probably than who listen to Howard Stern on satellite. Why? Because that's it. That airs for free. People pay for satellite. You know what I mean?
Stern then showed photos of 6 celebrities he said owes their success to him, including Adam Levine of Maroon 5, Jon Stewart, David Letterman, Kathy Griffin, and Jerry Seinfeld.
What?
Hang on. Jerry Seinfeld had a show called The Seinfeld Chronicles, and that it was about to go off the air. He used our show. Not even, the article says it's not even correct. It's not itself a standalone series. The Seinfeld Chronicles were the pilot episode of his NBC hit sitcom, Seinfeld. So I just wrote in my notes, Howard's really not even factually correct. So care to comment on Howard's claim that Jerry used the show, which he did say in the 90s, but that, Howard somehow trying to claim that the Stern Show was the major push for Seinfeld's popularity. Andrew?
No, because Seinfeld's popularity grew over the years as people discovered how funny it was and how original it was. That's what sells a show, okay? And now if Howard Stern took a piece of shit show and it lasted for 10 years and drew hundreds of millions of viewers and it was still a piece of shit, then you'd have something to say. But he just described people, you can't sell garbage, okay? And no. He is not responsible for Jerry Seinfeld. No, Jerry Seinfeld was a successful stand-up comedian before Seinfeld. And what were the other names on that, or some of the other ones?
Well, I'm gonna get into it. So
okay.
He goes on to say
Adam Levine, Maroon 5 existed before Howard Stern. Go ahead.
Adam Levine owes us, man. Stern said of the Maroon 5 frontman and former host of The Voice. Nobody was looking for him before The Voice. As payback for their success, Stern demanded that these guests be booked at least twice annually. Any thoughts on Maroon 5, Adam Levine, and somehow?
Yeah, I'm living proof of this because I don't like Maroon 5. I don't like Adam Levine. I don't like the music. So Howard Stern could tell me, listen to this, it's the greatest stuff ever, and I still wouldn't listen to it. All right? So you got to like the music to buy it. Maybe it gives some exposure, but not on satellite. Sorry, not on satellite. Because satellite is just that. It's not to the masses, really. The way that I would argue that if Adam Levine went on the Rush Limbaugh show, he'd get more exposure and more, and would probably sell more albums. Whatever, just because and I hate to give Rush Limbaugh that kind of credit, but more people listen to him than listen to Howard. Well, not anymore, but they did, and so these are all things that are easy to say, difficult to refute, and obviously very ego-stroking. So
he also ordered staff to actively promote the show, even requesting they write letters to their favorite stars. Here's a little bit of a controversial point: singling out audio editor and occasional show personality Mike Morales, a.k.a. High Pitch Mike, reluctantly came out as gay after constant on-air badgering regarding his sexuality. Stern requested he personally approach the Matrix co-director and trans woman Lana Wachowski to rescind previous refusals to appear on the show. "Hey, you're a guy who's passionate about gay issues," Stern said to Morales in the video. "What a wonderful get if you crafted the campaign to get Lana Wachowski on the show." Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, especially for someone who... He's the star fucker now. He's the one who's going to all these parties with all these people. He's the one who's talking about, I was at Jimmy Kimmel's house and all of these celebrities were there. It's his show. How do these people have access the access that he doesn't? Did I just say that right? I don't know. But who is he to say to these people who have, yes, all of these shows have a booking committee. Okay, and it's their job to reach out to the agents to to book the guests through the agents, and that's the way it's done. He's telling them.
Here's the point.
No, but he's telling them to exactly what you're saying.
No.
Go ahead.
No. Let me tell you exactly what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying.
Okay.
He specifically went to an out gay staff member and said, "It's your job to link up with a trans director because you're somehow passionate about gay issues." It's like it's almost like if he said to Rashawn, who's a black member on the staff, "You need to reach out to this." It's almost stereotypical in a sense.
Almost. It's beyond stereotypical.
Well, I'm trying to be a little more measured than you, Andy, and it's really low hanging fruit. And if I was Mike Morales, well, by the way, they got rid of a year or two later. I would have been I would have been really, really pissed and really uncomfortable with being called out in a staff meeting and saying, "Hey, you gay guy, get guests that are gay themes and gay friendly because that's what we want to have on the show." It's pretty wild, and I think
it's offensive.
If you watch a lot of these Howard Stern sort of anti-Howard podcasts, they really hit him on this point because they really felt like it was just a bad look.
Terrible. That's awful. That's awful. That's really
yeah, the article goes on to say, obviously, this means fewer strippers, porn stars, more mainstream guests. You start to see.
Can I comment on that for a second, though?
Sure.
Because that part I do agree with. That kind of stuff kind of had run its course.
I don't disagree with that.
Right. So, but that doesn't mean that it's got to become Sesame Street. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of Sesame Street, as he got rid of a lot of the comedians who were unbefitting of his now newer politically correct image, of course. That include Gilbert Gottfried, no longer on the show, Lisa Lampanelli, no on the show, and a sort of a wipeout of former sidekick Artie Lang.
Well, we know the Artie Lang story, and we can sort of. I can give Howard a little bit of a pass. He did kind of, and he did address the Artie situation. When it happened before Marcy Turk, that he felt it was unhealthy. It was a bad situation for Artie. I don't know if I agree with that, but I can understand it. But the Gilbert Gottfried and the Lisa Lampanellis and the Richard Belzers, these were people who we looked forward to. I would rather hear Richard Belzer sit and do the news than a 2-hour interview of Howard with Paul McCartney. Does that make sense to you?
Of course.
So that I don't understand. All right. Gilbert Gottfried and Lisa Lampanelli are very politically incorrect. But Howard's sin isn't not having them on the show, in my opinion. It's that he won't even talk about it. He won't even mention it.
That was my point as you rambled on incoherently. I think he has explained his situation with Artie, but I think it's been a whitewashing. I don't even like the clips on YouTube through the official Howard channel. They've even edited out glimpses of Artie, glimpses of Jackie. You might be able to hear them a little bit on the clip, but it's just completely effing ridiculous.
My biggest question, if I had a chance to ask him one question, I'd be like, Howard, what are you afraid of? At this point, what the fuck are you afraid of?
To that end, Stern's meeting introduced a staff dress code and plans to literally unfurl red carpets for A-list guests.
Oh, God.
And now here's probably the most controversial point: was he ordered staff to partake in questionable social media practices to attract guests. He said, how do we get the word out? Set up fake Twitter accounts. Be 10 different people. I don't give a shit, he said in front of a slide entitled, Everyone Create Fake Twitter Accounts. When our core team says to you, we want to get Lady Gaga on the show, we got to bang on people's doors. They're forgetting about us, and I am pissed. Now, to me, this part is where I just said, I'm speechless. How the mighty have fallen. This is no longer the Howard Stern show as I know it. And while I'll say I will admit to occasionally turning it on, I have 95% checked out as a Howard Stern fan. For Howard to instruct his team to set up fake Twitter accounts, for a guy who used to claim his show was never guest driven and he could sit and talk for 4 hours. It's just a stunning reversal, and floor is yours.
And folks, for just for you guys out there who don't know Evan the way I do, for him to say that, this is a guy who used to set his alarm to wake up at 5:59 a.m. every single day, whether he had to get up or not, to listen to that show. And he could recite certain shows from beginning to end. And for him to say that is more telling than anything else you're going to hear. And everything you just said is so spot on. And it's like, is it really over, or is he? It's like, I feel like, is he gonna wake up from this trance?
No.
Or I know he's not, but I still kind of hold out hope that he will. Like, at some point, just realize what a shadow he is. Not he, but the show. And to hear what you just said about, making the fake Twitter accounts, it's interesting because if he had said that live on the air, it would come across so differently, and I'd like it. Like, I can hear him on the air yelling at his staff, go make 10, 12 fucking Twitter accounts and get these people in here, goddammit, now get out of my studio. Like that. That's good radio. But to do this, quote unquote, behind closed doors means you're not performing now. You are serious about this shit. You're serious about getting these people to do things that make them uncomfortable. That it's almost like what Stuttering John said. He says it at the end of Private Parts in that credit scene. He's like, I wasn't even in this movie, and I'm getting beaten, getting the shit kicked out of me by Morton Downey, burning every bridge in the industry, just to cook Howard's potato, like all that stuff. Like, you say it as a joke, that became the reality. If someone asked me to go on social media and to, create fake accounts and to parade myself as somebody I'm not in order to make him look good, I better be getting paid a bloody fortune, because otherwise I'm walking. Like,
well, the Howard Stern show, you're not getting paid a bloody fortune,
right?
So,
I'm with you.
Salary structure and Howard's apparent frugality is legendary. So, Groo, let's wrap it up with this. The name of the podcast was, Post Summit Stern, still relevant. What are your thoughts today, 2021, June 3rd? What are your thoughts on Howard, radio, satellite, whatever you want to call it, and his place in today's entertainment and relevancy?
Well, it's interesting because he doesn't really seem to be very relevant, yet when he does make an appearance, it's news. So he still can be. But if he's just sticking to the radio show the way it is, no. He's lost too many fans. It's not must-listen radio anymore. But guess what? If he's going on a show at night, I watched that interview with Anderson Cooper. I did. If he's putting himself out there in other ways, it still makes news. Who else gets an hour?
You sat through that interview beginning to end, mesmerized, because
no, I wasn't. I wasn't mesmerized.
I'll put it on and I'll change it.
No, I wasn't. I didn't say it was good. I said I watched it.
As a matter of fact, I'll take it one step further. When my mom starts saying to me, "I saw Howard on The View or Anderson Cooper," I know it's over. I know it's over for Howard. I've said again, his show. Hold on, I'm on a rant right now. His show is indistinguishable from Ryan Seacrest. His show is indistinguishable from The View. It's become very generic, talking head. Anybody really can do the show. Him and Robin have become, the morning hosts with their coffee mugs, and it's a lot of happy talk.
It's morning latte.
A lot of preaching and how to live your lives, and it's just not fun nor funny. So here's my analogy. I wrote this on pen. Howard, to me, is a depreciating asset. He's Albert Pujols on the back end of a 10-year mega contract. So, Sirius XM, and again, we've talked about this, the salary is, people claim it's a red herring. It's not real, those numbers that, but let's just take the numbers for truth. Howard is a depreciating asset. Sirius signs Howard because I think it's more of a move to show their subscribers and their stock investors that, hey, we're serious about keeping names and again, like content. We're serious about holding on to this content, and so therefore we're serious about signing talent in the future. So if you are future talent, and really, there's not much talent left in radio, as far as I could see, on a national scale, really anymore. The days in the 90s where the big, shock jocks were sprouting up from other cities and getting sort of popular, the Bubbas and the Man Cows. They had some name. Those are gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
The template is no longer there to be shocking or edgy or to be creative.
Yeah.
Talent is being generated really by the podcast market, and that's all I'll say. I don't want to get into the whole thing.
Yeah.
But Howard's on the back end of a contract, to me, where Sirius is saying, you know what, we're spending a lot of money. We could say he's under our banner. We have the library, but they have to know that they're not getting value for those dollars in today's Howard Stern show.
I don't know. I don't know what the real numbers are, but all I can say is that the true tragedy here is that he's not relevant anymore. The show is not good anymore. He is not good anymore. The tragedy is that he can be. He's still got the talent. He's choosing not to use it. He's got a Ferrari and he's keeping it parked in the garage. He's still got the voice. His instrument is still working. He's still got the wit. He just seems to be choosing not to use it. He seems to be reaching out to lowest common denominator, the path of least resistance, cutting the show to 3 hours, getting rid of the news, cutting to 3 days a week. He just seems to be not interested in his own product anymore. And it's not like somebody who would love to be on stage performing but just can't do it anymore because their tools are not there. He's still got the tools. He's choosing not. It's wasted talent. Now, that I can't take anything away from what he's done. You know, he's still the best there ever was. I would still give him that title, would you?
That's not the title of the podcast. The podcast was Howard
Okay,
Stern.
okay, all right, fair enough.
Still relevant. Look, I absolutely will not. I will not take anything. His accomplishments are his accomplishments. They're legendary, and they stand on their own. I've said this before on our other podcasts. I just cannot remember an entertainment entity from the starting point to now. It's like a 360. You know, you can't really say that about the Imus. You can't say that about Rush Limbaugh. They stay consistent, as good or bad as Howard has done. Just a complete 360
by choice. By choice. That's the issue. By choice.
Okay, well, fine.
Yeah. So the answer is no. He's not relevant, but he could be if he wanted to be. He's choosing not to be.
Here's my last question.
Yeah.
He's got to be on. He's on whatever it is, a 4-year deal, 5-year deal. This is going to wrap it up. I can't see him signing on beyond this contract. Give me a percentage right now before Howard is done. Last show, we see a Jackie. We perhaps see an Artie visit. Any chance of any of the old timers coming back? Knowing what you know about Howard now, give me a percentage. Give me a quick take.
I'd say 85% yes. At some point, when he makes his final decision, this is going to be it. I feel that he won't be able to help but look back and want to take one final victory lap. He's human. You know, he's human, and I can't see him shoving all of that gold under the bed and leaving it there forever. So I would say 85 to 90% we get appearances or something from just about everybody we want. I say that in hopes. I think it'll happen.
Yeah, man, your head's in the clouds, my friend. I'm going to go with under 50% because he was asked about that. I know specifically on the Howard Stern Comes Again book tour, he did not shut the door. I forget his exact quote, but you know, I just see the show becoming more and more insular. It's more and more just Howard, Robin. The outside players have become minimized. There's very little Sal Richard. There's very little Baba Booey. And because, just like you said, the show, which was so much about spontaneity and peeling back the layers, has become very, very thought out. And, you know, perhaps even putting these guys on mic, there is a danger. There is a danger they may say the wrong thing. Or that's why, you know, all the prefab bits, the calls are all either pre-scripted plants or... You know, just you know, the Mary.
Do you think that's why though? Because people like Gilbert.
I do.
Do you?
Yes, I do. No, I'll answer your question. I absolutely do. He's the first one to say he cannot handle criticism. They play it on. Quite frankly, he says my days of being called a shithead are over. I had that done so much in my life, in my career. He cannot handle. He used to do. I believe the callers, even back when they had him up on the screen, there was a certain sense of they didn't know exactly what the caller was going to say. Howard can't handle the caller who's going to call him out on because today, if the show took calls live and unfettered, 90% of them would be, I believe, people calling and going, "How could you fucking say? I mean, why won't you comment about New York?" He can't handle it.
That's not. I agree with everything you said. That's not quite what I meant. What I meant was the whitewashing of the PC thing, because this woke thing is generally, it's only like 3 or 4 years old as far as like it being completely out of control, I think. So people like Gilbert and Lampanelli and these guys were banned like from 2012. And I don't
You don't think the tea leaves were already starting back in 2012?
I'm trying to remember, and it does.
My take is we were even back then very politically correct. If you really were outrageously over the line, like a Michael Richards, you got canceled. Now, if you, God forbid, you were in college and you attended a party, or you in a picture with the wrong person, or did something when you were. I mean, I feel. Look, even these woke kids. Like I was reading about some like teenage Vogue editor who put some kind of tweet out there when she was 15, and something a little dicey, and she, had to give up her job. It's incredible. It's incredible. I don't want to get into whole, but I think the tea leaves in terms of where mainstream media and entertainment it has been going, has been out there for a long time, and I don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon. And unfortunately, maybe it's going to get even more restrictive. That's just one.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gilbert Gottfried has a podcast, and I don't hear many people complaining about anything he's saying. So,
you know what? I have listened. I've listened to with Artie where they really cut loose, but you're not going to tell me. I haven't listened to Gilbert's podcast. You're not going to tell me that his podcast today, as it's structured, was as wild when he used to go on the news and riff and riff.
Oh, of course not. But I'm saying, so what?
Okay,
so
thank you.
No, so if he's reining it in, why is he banned? Bring him back on.
Ask Marcy Turk.
That's I would love to ask Marcy Turk a lot of things.
All right, so survey says Howard Stern, ding, 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 not relevant. Andrew, let's talk about our next show. It's really Quiet Places. Moody and Groo take a look at A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2. We'll take a look at the movie's lore, the entire Quiet Place universe, give you our thoughts and review the first two films, and chat about where the franchise might go from here. Our next show, Really Quiet Places.
Why didn't they call the sequel A Quieter Place?
That's a great thing. Great question.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that one. I have not seen either of them, and I'm looking forward to watching them for this podcast.
Didn't I give you homework like a show ago? And
yes, and that's but we're not recording that show yet. We're doing it next week.
Oh,
I have time. The assignment was not due yet, Mr. Moody.
Well, I am. And
can I have an extension? It's finals week. I'm burned out.
Yeah, you have an accommodation, extended time on all.
Yeah, I have a 504 on watching A Quiet Place.
No, I am excited. I am excited for you to see it. I'm very curious to see your thoughts.
I've heard nothing but positive things about both movies, so I'm looking forward to it.
Science fiction, I think Andy tolerates it. You're not much of a sci-fi guy, are you?
I am a sci-fi guy. Like, I'm a franchise sci-fi guy, like Star Wars, Star Trek, Aliens, that kind of stuff. So, isn't A Quieter Place more horror? At least that's what it looked like.
Sci-fi horror.
I love that.
I'll let you decide.
I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, like, this is a movie I got to see. And I don't. Did the first one come out like right at the beginning of COVID, or did I just miss it?
No, the first one came out. Pre-COVID. The second one was supposed to come out. I don't remember exactly when. The second one has been on the shelf for over a year and a half due to COVID, and they really held out to put it in theaters, and as
Right.
far as I know, the
Making
numbers
money.
have been very positive on.
Yeah, it's doing very well. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking
All right,
forward to
next
seeing
show,
them.
Really Quiet Places. Really Quiet Places. Gru, you want to take us out?
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. Even though most of you or all of you will be listening to this in daylight, I'd like to wish a very special happy birthday to me.
Yes!
I turned 46 years old during the recording of this podcast. Actually,
you old bastard!
Actually,
Yes!
it happened while Evan's dog was crapping on his lawn. The bell rang at that time. But yes, next week we'll be talking about the Quiet Place franchise here on Nothing Worthwhile. We'd like to thank you for taking this trip with us into the land of Howard Stern, discussing the relevancy. Please like, subscribe, do whatever it is that's done to make us more popular, because we are really, down in the dumps. We have no self-esteem, and we need to go. Please. What was David Allen's book called? Getting Better.
Getting Things Done.
Yes, we're going to write the sequel, Getting Things Done 2, because we really need it. We really need to join a cult. But before we do that, we're going to be reviewing and talking about A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2 all next week on Nothing Worthwhile. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, 1,
Come on,
2,
Braxton, ready?
3, wrap 'em.